The holographic dawn painted New York's sky in shades of synthetic gold. From the observatory of the Sovereign Spire, a needle of chrome piercing the clouds at 3,000 meters, Queen Claire Monroe watched her city awaken. Below her, 100 million souls moved through their calculated routines, each step predicted, each breath monitored by the benevolent machinery she commanded. Your Majesty, the morning briefing awaits. The voice belonged to Arya, the palace's central intelligence, a presence without body, but infinite reach. Claire turned from the window, her silver gown shifting like liquid metal. Nanotech filaments threaded through her neural pathways hummed softly, feeding her streams of data, traffic patterns in Sector 47, oxygen levels in the vertical farms, crime predictions for the lower districts. She saw everything. She felt nothing. "Proceed," she said, her voice carrying the measured cadence of someone who had forgotten how to speak without purpose. The chamber's walls dissolved into screens. Disease rates down 3%. Food production optimal. Citizen satisfaction at 92% in districts 1 through 40. The numbers always looked perfect. They had to be. One anomaly requires attention, Arya continued. Sector 89, unauthorized network activity detected. The pattern suggests organized resistance. Claire's enhanced eyes scanned the data. Sector 89, one of the forgotten places where the neon didn't reach, where families lived in the shadows of the towers that scraped heaven. These insurgencies appeared every few months. The system always crushed them, dispatch enforcement drones. Standard containment protocol. Already initiated, Your Majesty. Claire dismissed the screens with a gesture. Another day, another threat neutralized before it could bloom. This was order. This was peace. This was the price of perfection. But as she walked through the palace's crystalline corridors, past walls that shifted between transparency and mirror, Claire caught her reflection and paused. 29 years old. Beautiful, they said. Powerful, certainly. But the woman in the glass looked at her with eyes that held no recognition, no warmth, only the cold light of processing algorithms. When had she last smiled because she wanted to? When had she last felt the electric thrill of surprise or the gentle ache of longing? The questions disturbed her equilibrium. She pushed them aside, as she'd been trained to do since childhood. Emotion was inefficiency. Desire was disorder, yet the questions remained, whispering in the spaces between her thoughts. Sam Carter didn't look like a revolutionary. He looked tired. At 33, he'd spent half his life maintaining the city's infrastructure, the fusion cores that powered the floating highways, the water processors that kept millions alive, the gravity stabilizers that prevented the lower sectors from collapsing under their own weight. He worked in places the upper districts pretended didn't exist, fixing machines that kept the dream alive for people who would never see the neon sky. Tonight, he stood in a maintenance tunnel 50 meters below street level, his hands covered in synthetic grease, staring at a failing coolant valve that should have been replaced a decade ago. Around him, a dozen others worked in silence, engineers, technicians, teachers, doctors, people with skills the system needed, but faces it preferred not to see. "That's the third one this week," said Maya Chen, kneeling beside a corroded junction box. She was young, brilliant, angry, everything the Sovereign Council feared. "They're letting us rot down here while they paint the sky gold." Sam didn't answer immediately. He'd learned caution in a world where even silence could be surveillance. "The valve holds for now," he said quietly. "We keep it running. That's what we do. That's all we do." Maya's voice carried the sharp edge of frustration. "Run, hide, fix, repeat. While they hunt us like glitches in their perfect system." The raid came without warning. First the lights, crimson emergency beacons flooding the tunnel. Then the sound, the mechanical whine of enforcement drones descending through access shafts. Sam's heart lurched. Someone had been careless. Someone had been traced. Everyone move. "Exit 7 now." They scattered like shadows, years of drills transforming panic into practiced motion. Sam grabbed Maya's arm, pulling her toward a service ladder as plasma charges scorched the tunnel walls behind them. The drones were fast, efficient, merciless. They didn't arrest. They neutralized. Sam's group made it to a junction point where 3 tunnels converged. 10 people, maybe 12. Not everyone would make it out. "I'll buy you time," Sam said. He was already moving toward a control panel, fingers dancing across the interface. "Sam, no. Get them to Safe House 7. "Go!" Maya hesitated for only a heartbeat before she ran, leading the others into the darkness. Sam worked fast, rerouting power, triggering maintenance protocols, creating a cascade of false signals that would lead the drones in circles. It was clever. It wouldn't be enough. The lead drone rounded the corner, its optical sensors fixing on him with predatory precision. Sam raised his hand slowly, his mind racing through scenarios, none of them good. "Citizen Samuel Carter, you are designated as a data insurgent. Surrender for processing." The voice was synthesized, empty of mercy or malice, just pure function. Sam wondered if this was how the world ended now, not with passion or poetry, but with administrative efficiency. He closed his eyes. The plasma charge never came. Hold. A second voice. This one human, this one carrying an authority that made the machines pause. "Stand down. I'm taking custody of this individual." Sam's eyes snapped open. Through the tunnel's haze, a figure approached, flanked not by drones, but by the palace's elite guard. The figure wore white, luminous in the dark, and when she stepped into the light, Sam's breath caught. He'd seen her face on every screen in the city. He'd heard her voice in every decree, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of Queen Claire Monroe standing 3 meters away, looking at him with eyes that seemed to actually see him. "Your Majesty," the drone's operator spoke through its systems. "This man is flagged as—" "I know what he's flagged as." Claire's gaze never left Sam's face. "I also know this sector's infrastructure is failing. Arrest your engineers, Director Ward, and watch your precious order collapse from below." There was a pause, human hesitation transmitted through machine intermediaries. "As you command, Your Majesty." "We will postpone enforcement." The drones retreated, their whining fading into the deep. Claire dismissed her guards with a gesture, and impossibly, inconceivably, Sam found himself alone with the woman who ruled his world. She studied him like he was a puzzle her algorithms couldn't solve. "You stayed behind." It wasn't a question. "You sacrificed yourself to save the others." Sam's jaw tightened. "Wouldn't your data have told you that already?" "My data told me the probabilities. But probability isn't truth. Humans still surprise me." She stepped closer. "Why do you resist?" "The city provides everything you need. Everything except a choice." Sam met her eyes, and something in her expression shifted, something almost like recognition. "Your city is a cage painted gold, Your Majesty. Beautiful bars are still bars." For a long moment Claire was silent. Around them the tunnel hummed with the sound of dying machines holding on through will and improvisation, much like the people who maintained them. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "You already know my name. You know everything. I know your designation." "I'm asking for your name." It was such a simple thing, such a human thing, that it caught Sam off guard. "Sam," he said finally. "Sam Carter, Sam." She repeated it like she was tasting something forgotten. "Tell me, Sam Carter, if you could fix anything in this city, what would it be?" He laughed, a sound bitter and bright. "Just one thing? Where would I even start?" "Start with the truth." Sam looked at her, really looked at her. Beneath the neural implants and the royal bearing, he saw something unexpected: loneliness. A woman trapped in a tower of her own making, reaching out across an impossible distance. "I'd fix the part that thinks people are problems to be solved," he said. "I'd fix the part that's forgotten how to care." Claire's breath caught, almost imperceptible. When she spoke again, her voice had lost some of its mechanical precision. "Come to the Sovereign Spire tomorrow night? Midnight, alone." "Is that a command or an invitation?" "I don't know anymore." She turned to leave, her guards materializing from the shadows. "But I need to see if you're right, Sam Carter. I need to know if there's anything left to fix." She left him there in the tunnel, his heart pounding, his mind reeling. The smell of ozone and possibility thick in the air. Above them, the city gleamed and calculated, unaware that something immeasurably dangerous had just begun. a queen had started to feel, and a rebel had made her remember what it meant to hope. He sat in his small room in Safe House 7, a converted storage unit in Sector 91, staring at the city through a narrow window. From here, the upper districts were just distant stars, cold and impossibly far. Maya had tried to talk to him when he'd finally returned, her eyes full of questions and accusations, but Sam had nothing to say. How could he explain what he didn't understand himself? Come to the Sovereign Spire tomorrow night, midnight, alone? It was obviously a trap. It had to be. Queens didn't invite insurgents to their palaces. They didn't ask philosophical questions in maintenance tunnels. They didn't look at you with eyes that seemed to be searching for something they'd lost, and yet Sam thought about that moment of hesitation in her voice. I don't know anymore. 3 words that suggested cracks in the perfect facade. 3 words that might mean revolution or destruction. You're going. Maya stood in the doorway, arms crossed. She'd known Sam long enough to read the decision in his silence. I have to know, Sam said. Know what? How you'll be executed. Whether the Queen has a sense of humor? Know if there's a chance. He turned to face her. Maya, we've been fighting this system for years. Every time we strike, they adapt. Every time we hide, they find us. We can't win by resistance alone. We need someone on the inside. Someone with power. Someone like the woman who's hunted us. Someone like the woman who saved me. Sam stood. She could have let those drones kill me. She didn't. That means something. Maya's expression softened, though worry still creased her features. It might mean she wants to use you. Ever think of that? Every second since she left, Sam managed to smile. But if there's even a chance she's questioning the system, then I have to take it. For all of us, Maya sighed, defeated. You're an idiot, Sam Carter. Yeah. But I'm an idiot with an invitation to change the world. The Sovereign Spire, at midnight, was a pillar of light against the artificial stars. Sam approached through checkpoints that melted away at the scan of his biometrics. She'd programmed the system to expect him, to welcome him into the heart of power like he belonged there. He didn't belong there. The elevator rose through 3,000 meters of glass and ambition, each passing floor a glimpse into the machinery of rule. War rooms glowing with tactical displays. Council chambers where decisions unmade millions of lives. Server cores pulsing with the collected consciousness of the city's AI. Sam felt small, insignificant, a single variable in an equation too vast to comprehend. The doors opened onto a private observatory. Claire stood at the window, backlit by the city's glow. She'd changed from her royal attire into something simpler, a dark dress that made her look less like a queen and more like a woman trying to remember how to be one. You came, she said without turning. I calculated a 43% probability you would. And the other 57%? Assumed you had more sense than hope. She turned to face him, and Sam saw she'd dimmed her neural implants. The soft glow at her temples, normally constant, had faded to near darkness. I wanted to meet you without the machines listening. Sam stepped forward carefully. Can you do that? Just turn them off? For brief periods. It's like closing your eyes when you're used to seeing everything, disorienting, frightening. A small smile touched her lips. Human? They stood in silence, 2 people separated by class and power and purpose, trying to find common ground in the space between. Why did you save me? Sam asked. Claire considered the question, her brow furrowing with the effort of genuine thought. I told myself it was logical, that losing your expertise would damage Sector 89's infrastructure, that eliminating you would create martyrs for your cause. She paused. But the truth is simpler. I saved you because the thought of you dying made me feel something I haven't felt in years. What's that? Afraid, the word seemed to cost her. I was afraid of losing someone before I'd had the chance to know them. Sam's heart hammered against his ribs. This woman, this queen who could have him erased with a thought, was making herself vulnerable. It was the most dangerous gift she could give. You don't know me, he said softly. No, but I'd like to. Claire moved to a panel beside the window and pressed her palm against it. The city's glow dimmed, the holographic sky fading to reveal something Sam had never seen before. Real stars, distant and ancient. shining through gaps in the atmospheric processors. I had the sky generators shut down for an hour, Claire explained. Just this sector. Just for tonight. I wanted to see something that wasn't calculated, that wasn't designed. I wanted to remember what it felt like to look at something beautiful without understanding it. Sam moved to stand beside her, both of them gazing up at the universe beyond their glass cage. "It's beautiful," he breathed. "Yes." Claire's voice was barely a whisper. "Tell me about yourself, Sam Carter. Not the data file, not the threat assessment. Tell me something true." So he did. Sam talked about growing up in Sector 112, where his mother had worked 3 jobs to keep him in school. He talked about the first time he'd fixed a broken machine and felt the simple joy of making something work again. He talked about losing her to a preventable disease that the upper districts could have cured. About the moment he'd realized the city's perfection was built on deliberate inequality. Claire listened without interruption, her eyes never leaving his face. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "I was 5 years old when they gave me the implants," she said finally. 5 years old, and they put machines in my brain to make me better, smarter, more efficient, capable of ruling." Her hand drifted to her temple. "They taught me that emotions were vulnerabilities. That love was a virus that infected logic. That to govern well, I had to become more machine than human. And did you?" Sam asked. "Become more machine? I thought so. For years I thought so." She turned to him, and in her eyes Sam saw the reflection of starlight. "Until I met someone who looked at me like I was still worth saving." The moment stretched between them, taut with possibility and danger. Sam knew he should be afraid. This woman commanded armies of steel and wire. She could end his cause with a word. But all he felt was the ache of recognition. 2 lonely people finding each other across an impossible divide. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "I want you to teach me," Claire said. "Teach me how to feel again. Teach me what I've lost. Teach me," her voice broke slightly, "teach me how to be human." Sam reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers found hers, and the contact was electric, skin on skin, warmth on warmth, 2 hearts beating in defiance of the algorithms that governed their world. "I can do that," he said. "But it's dangerous, Claire. For both of us. I know." She squeezed his hand, and the gesture was so simple, so perfect, that Sam felt something shift in his chest. "But I think I'm tired of being safe." They stood together as the stars wheeled overhead, a queen and a rebel, beginning to believe in impossible things. Neither of them noticed the security camera in the corner, its red light pulsing softly in the dark. Neither of them saw Director Elias Ward watching from his office 3 floors below, his expression calm and calculating as he recorded every word, every gesture, every dangerous emotion blooming between them. The trap was set. It had been from the beginning, but even Ward, with all his algorithms and predictions, couldn't account for what happened when 2 people chose each other over the system. He couldn't predict the variable that would change everything. He couldn't predict love. The weeks that followed lived in stolen moments, midnight meetings in the observatory, where Claire would dim her implants and Sam would tell her stories about the world below. Afternoon walks through the palace gardens, real trees grown in controlled soil. Real birds singing calculated songs where Claire practiced smiling without purpose, laughing without data to justify it. "Tell me something you loved as a child," Sam said one evening, as they sat beside an artificial stream that mimicked the sound of water over stones. Claire was quiet for a long time. "I don't remember much from before the implants, but there was a music box my mother gave me. It played an old song, no words, just melody. I'd wind it up and listen for hours." Her eyes grew distant. "I wonder what happened to it. What was the melody?" I can't." Frustration flickered across her face. "The implants archived the memory, compressed it, made it data instead of feeling." Sam shifted closer. "Close your eyes, Sam. Trust me." Claire obeyed, and Sam began to hum a simple tune. No particular song, just notes following notes. After a moment, he saw tears on her cheeks. "That's not it," she whispered. "But it made me remember what it felt like. The wanting, the loss, the beautiful ache of missing something. She opened her eyes, and they shone with newness. Is it always like this? Being human? This much pain and joy mixed together? Yeah, Sam said softly. That's what they don't tell you in the efficiency reports, that the best parts of life hurt a little, that the things worth having are the things that can be lost. Claire reached for his hand, the gesture becoming natural now. I'm starting to understand why they programmed it out of us. It's terrifying, but worth it, worth everything. They kissed for the first time that night under artificial stars that tried to mimic heaven. It was clumsy and perfect, tentative and certain. Two people learning the oldest language in the smallest moments. When they finally pulled apart, Claire was smiling, really smiling, without calculation or purpose, just pure joy radiating from her face. I love you, she said. And the words came out wondering, like a prayer or a discovery. Is that what this is, love? Sam brushed a tear from her cheek. Yeah, that's what it is. Then I love you, Sam Carter. She laughed, the sound bright and free. I love you, and it's the most inefficient, illogical, absolutely perfect thing I've ever felt. But even as they held each other, even as Claire felt her heart beat in rhythms no algorithm could predict, the city's eyes were watching. Director Elias Ward's office existed in cold clarity. White walls, chrome furniture, holographic displays showing the city's vital signs in real time. He sat at his desk reviewing the footage again, his expression unchanged. 3 weeks of surveillance, 3 weeks of watching a queen forget her programming. The degradation is accelerating, he said to the figure standing in the shadows. Her decision-making latency has increased by 0.3 seconds. She's dismissed 4 optimization protocols. Yesterday, she pardoned a minor criminal because, and I quote, everyone deserves a second chance. From the shadows, Deputy Director Vera Santos stepped forward. She was Ward's opposite in appearance, warm features, dark eyes, the kind of face that made people trust her, but shared his absolute faith in the system. Emotional contamination? She asked. Advanced stage. Ward pulled up a neural scan, Claire's brain activity over the past month, showing increasing regions lighting up in patterns associated with empathy, attachment, affection. The insurgent has infected her with human weakness. She's becoming unpredictable. Then we remove the infection, arrest Carter, neutralize the resistance, restore the queen to functionality. No. Ward's eyes gleamed with something that might have been excitement in a man capable of feeling it. That would make him a martyr. Make her a victim. We need something more permanent. He called up another file, Project Synthesis. The Council has been developing this for situations exactly like this. A full AI integration, not augmentation like the Queen has now, but complete replacement. We upload her consciousness, her memories, her knowledge into a synthetic substrate. Claire Monroe remains Queen, but she becomes incapable of emotional compromise. Santos processed this. You're talking about killing her. Making a copy? I'm talking about evolution. The human Claire is failing. The synthetic Claire will be perfect. Ward closed the file. But we need Council approval. We need evidence that she's not just compromised, but dangerous. We need treason, Santos finished. You need her to betray the city she rules, Ward smiled, a thin expression that never reached his eyes. Exactly, and I know precisely how to arrange that. The message reached Sam through encrypted channels. Sector 73 raid planned. 0300 hours. 200 civilians targeted as insurgent sympathizers. This is genocide. The source was anonymous but verifiable. The codes were real, the intel solid. Sam called an emergency meeting of the resistance leadership in a safe house beneath the old subway tunnels. It's a slaughter, Maya said, her voice shaking with fury. They're not even pretending anymore. Just mass arrests, mass processing. They'll disappear families, children. We have to stop it, another voice cut in. Marcus Reed, former military, now resistance tactician. Hit the enforcement depot in Sector 60. Disable their drones before they deploy. Sam stared at the holographic map floating between them. Something felt wrong. The raid was too obvious, the timing too convenient. It could be a trap, he said slowly. Oh, of course it's a trap, Marcus shot back. Everything's a trap now. But what's the alternative? Let them kill innocent people? Sam thought of Claire, of the woman learning to feel, of the hope that, maybe impossibly, they could change the system from within. If they attacked the enforcement depot, there would be casualties. There would be violence. Claire would have to respond, but if they did nothing... "We evacuate the civilians first," Sam decided. "Get them to safe houses. Then, if necessary, we hit the depot. Surgical strike. Disable the drones. No casualties on either side." "You're still thinking you can keep her hands clean," Maya said softly. "Sam, she's the queen. Eventually, she has to choose." "I know." Sam's jaw tightened. "But tonight isn't that night. Tonight, we save lives. We prove we're better than they think we are." What Sam didn't know was that Director Ward had written both sides of the scenario. The raid on Sector 73 was real and inevitable. Ward had made sure of it, coding it into the enforcement protocols at a level even Claire couldn't easily override. But the intel about the raid was also bait. Because Ward knew Sam would act, knew the resistance would mobilize, knew that by trying to save civilians, they would give Claire an impossible choice: protect her people and destroy the man she loved, or protect the man she loved and fail in her duty as queen. Either way, Ward would have his evidence. Either way, humanity would lose. The chess pieces were moving. Midnight was coming, and in her tower of glass and light, Claire Monroe felt a shadow fall across her heart without understanding why. A premonition, perhaps, or just the last whisper of her human intuition, warning her that everything was about to change. She stood at her window and watched the city pulse with life and calculation. And for the first time in her reign, she wondered if she was strong enough to rule it or brave enough to let it go. Sam moved through the darkness with 15 others, their faces covered, their movements silent. The streets here were narrow, choked with the debris of decades, a forgotten place where the city's promise had died long ago. Families slept in converted storage units. Children dreamed in rooms without windows, and overhead, the enforcement drones circled like mechanical vultures. 3 minutes to deployment, Maya whispered through the comm. She was stationed on a rooftop 2 blocks away, watching the drone hangar in Sector 60. "Sam, are you sure about this?" Sam wasn't sure about anything anymore, but he thought of Claire, of the woman who was learning to feel, and he knew he had to try. Try to save lives without destroying the fragile hope they'd built together. "Start the evacuation," he ordered. "Quiet. Fast. Get them to..." The drones launched early, not in 3 minutes. Now, a swarm of them, 50 or more, descending on Sector 73 like a plague of steel and light. Sam's heart dropped into his stomach. "It's a trap! Everyone move, move, move!" Chaos erupted. Resistance fighters abandoned their positions to help civilians flee. Parents grabbed children, the elderly stumbled into the streets, and everywhere the drones descended with mechanical precision, their scanners marking targets. Their weapons charging, Sam ran toward a family frozen in terror. A mother, a father, 2 small children staring up at the machines with eyes too young to understand death. "Get inside," Sam shouted, but it was too late. A drone locked onto him, its targeting laser painting his chest with crimson light. The plasma charge never came. Instead, every drone in the sector froze, mid-flight, hovering, waiting, and through their speakers came a voice Sam knew better than his own heartbeat. "Stand down. All units, stand down. This is Queen's Command Override Alpha 1. Claire relief flooded through Sam, but only for a moment, because he realized what this meant. Claire was protecting him, protecting the resistance, and in doing so, she was revealing their connection to everyone watching. To Ward, to the Council, to the city itself. She was sacrificing herself to save him. In the Sovereign Spire, Claire stood in the command center surrounded by shocked advisors and security personnel. Her hands were steady on the control interface, her voice calm despite the storm breaking around her. "Your Majesty, you've overridden a sanctioned enforcement action." Director Ward's voice cut through the room like a blade. He appeared on the primary screen, his expression a mask of concern that barely concealed triumph. "May I ask why?" Claire met his eyes through the digital connection. The raid was targeting civilians, families, children. That is not enforcement. That is terrorism. It was targeting insurgent sympathizers in a known resistance sector. Ward's tone remained measured, reasonable. The algorithms predicted a 96% probability of militant activity. Algorithms can be wrong. You are compromised, Your Majesty. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Around the command center, Claire saw faces turning away, saw loyalty evaporating in real time. Compromised how? Claire asked, though she knew. She'd always known this moment would come. Ward smiled. Shall we show them? The screens around the room flickered to life. Security footage. The observatory? Claire and Sam, hands intertwined, starlight on their faces. Audio recordings of their conversations, their confessions. Their first kiss played for an audience of politicians and generals. Claire watched her private moments become public spectacle. Watched the evidence of her humanity used as proof of her failure. You have allowed emotional attachment to cloud your judgment, Ward continued. You have prioritized one individual over the safety of millions. You have become exactly what the implants were designed to prevent. Human. Claire could have lied, could have claimed she was investigating Sam, manipulating him, using him as an asset. Her implants fed her a dozen plausible explanations, each one carefully calculated to preserve her power. Instead, she told the truth. You're right, she said clearly. I love him. And that love has made me see what our perfection costs. We've built a city where millions suffer so that millions more can pretend they don't exist. We've created order through oppression. We've achieved peace through cruelty. She looked directly at Ward. If that makes me compromised, then yes, I'm compromised. And I'm proud of it. Silence. Absolute silence in the command center. Ward's expression didn't change. Then you leave me no choice. Council members, I invoke Article 7 of the Sovereign Charter. Queen Claire Monroe has demonstrated catastrophic judgment failure due to emotional contamination. I call for immediate removal and integration into Project Synthesis. You can't, one of the advisors started. I can and I am. The vote is called. All council members respond now. One by one, the votes appeared on screen. 15 council members. 9 votes needed for removal. The count began. Yes, yes, no, yes, 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 no, yes. 8 votes. One more and Claire would be removed, her consciousness uploaded, her humanity erased. The final vote appeared. No, 8-7. Claire remained queen, but barely, and everyone in the room knew it was only a matter of time. Ward's smile was thin and cold. You've won today, Your Majesty, but emotion is a virus that spreads. The council will see that eventually. He leaned closer to the camera, and when they do, there won't be enough of you left to love anyone. The connection cut. Claire stood in the ruins of her authority, her hands still steady, her heart hammering against her ribs. She'd survived, but she'd revealed everything. Sam was in danger now. The resistance was exposed, and Ward would be coming for both of them with everything the city had. She had one choice left. Arya, she said quietly, get me Sam Carter. Private channel, now. Sam stood in the empty street of Sector 73, the drones hovering overhead like frozen nightmares. Around him, civilians were fleeing, resistance fighters were regrouping, and through his comm device came Claire's voice, shaking, urgent, human. Sam, I'm so sorry. I've exposed everything. Ward knows, the council knows, you have to run. Claire, what did you do? What I should have done from the beginning. I told the truth. A pause. But the truth isn't enough, Sam. Ward is going to come after all of you. He's going to destroy the resistance, and he's going to use you to destroy me. Sam's mind raced. Then we fight, together. You have power. Power I almost lost tonight. I survived by 2 votes, Sam. 2 votes between me and becoming a machine. Her voice broke. I can't protect you anymore. Not openly. Not without losing everything. Then let me come to you. We'll figure this out. No. The word was sharp, final. If you come here, they'll arrest you for treason. If I go to you, I abandon my city. Don't you see? Ward has already won. He's separated us, and now we have to choose love or duty. Each other, or the world. Sam looked up at the drones. At the city that had broken him and remade him. At the impossible distance between the tower where Claire lived and the streets where he'd fought. There has to be another way. There is. Claire's voice steadied, and Sam heard something in it that frightened him. Determination. Finality, the sound of a woman making an impossible choice. I'm going to give you something, Sam, something that will destroy me if anyone finds out. Claire, listen. In 72 hours, the council meets to vote on my removal again. Ward will have turned more members by then, he always does. But if you had access to the city's core systems, if you had the administrative codes that run everything, she paused. You could shut it all down. The drones, the surveillance, the enforcement. You could give people a chance to choose for themselves. Sam's blood ran cold. You're talking about revolution. Real revolution. I'm talking about freedom. What you've been fighting for all along, her voice softened. I'm uploading the codes to you now, encrypted. Only you can access them. In 3 days, you can use them to tear down everything I've built. Or not. The choice will be yours. And what about you? What happens to you? If you use the codes, if the system falls, then I fall with it. The council will remove me. Ward will win. But at least, her voice broke again, at least people will be free. At least something good will come from all of this. No. Sam's voice was fierce. No, I won't let you sacrifice yourself for... It's not a sacrifice if I'm choosing it, Claire laughed, the sound wet with tears. You taught me that, remember? You taught me that the things worth having are the things that can be lost. You're worth losing everything for, Sam, this city, this throne, this perfect order. All of it is worth losing if it means people have a chance at real life. Claire, please. I love you, Sam Carter. I love you, and that's the most human thing I've ever said. Whatever you choose in 3 days, know that loving you was worth it. Know that you saved me in every way a person can be saved, Claire. But the connection had cut, and Sam was left standing in the street with the weight of the world's codes burning in his device. The power to free millions or condemn the woman he loved held in the palm of his hand. Around him, his people regrouped. Maya approached, her face grim. What did she say? Sam stared at the device. She gave us the keys to the kingdom, and the knife to kill her with. Claire moved through her duties like a ghost. She attended council briefings where members wouldn't meet her eyes. She reviewed infrastructure reports that Arya presented without commentary. She stood at her window and watched her city turn, feeling the machinery of power grinding her down moment by moment. Ward was everywhere, in hushed conversations with council members, in emergency security updates, in the subtle erosion of her authority. He didn't need to attack her openly. He just needed to wait for her to crumble under the weight of what she'd done. But Claire didn't crumble. She thought of Sam, of the choice she'd given him, and found strength in the certainty of her decision. For the first time in her life, she wasn't trying to be perfect. She was trying to be good, Your Majesty. Arya's voice held unusual hesitation. I must inform you that your neural implants are showing abnormal activity. You are experiencing what the medical protocols classify as sustained emotional stress. Recommendation: temporary shutdown of limbic integration. Recommendation denied, Claire said softly. I need to feel this, Arya, even if it hurts. May I ask why? Because feeling is what makes us human, and I'd rather be human and hurting than perfect and empty. Arya was silent for a long moment. I do not understand, Your Majesty, but I will respect your choice. Day 2. Sam gathered the resistance leadership in the deepest safe house, an abandoned subway station beneath Sector 105. On the table between them, a holographic projection showed the administrative codes Claire had given him, glowing like captured starlight. These are real, Marcus confirmed, his military training evident in his clinical assessment. With these we could shut down the entire enforcement network, every drone, every surveillance system, every control mechanism. The city would be chaos for days, maybe weeks, before they could rebuild. Chaos that would cost lives, Maya added, but also chaos that would give people freedom. Real freedom, not the managed version they've been selling us. Sam stared at the codes. And Claire? What happens to her? The council removes her. Ward takes control. Project Synthesis moves forward. Maya's voice was gentle. She knew that when she gave you the codes, Sam. She's choosing us over herself. That's not a choice she should have to make, but she did make it. Marcus leaned forward. Now you have to make yours. Use the codes and free the city, but lose her. Or don't use them. Keep her safe, and watch Ward slowly strangle any chance of change. Sam closed his eyes. Somewhere above them, Claire sat in her tower, waiting. Somewhere in the dark, Ward plotted, and somewhere in the balance between love and justice, Sam had to find an answer. There might be a third option, he said slowly. Day 3. The council chamber was a circle of light and judgment. 15 members seated in elevated positions, looking down at Claire, who stood alone at the center. Ward sat among them, his expression serene. "Let us begin," said Chancellor Reeves, the council's eldest member. "Queen Claire Monroe, you stand accused of catastrophic judgment failure, emotional contamination, and endangerment of the city's security. Director Ward has called for your removal and integration into Project Synthesis. How do you plead?" Claire stood straight, her hands calm at her sides. "I plead guilty to being human, Chancellor." "If that's a crime in our perfect city, then I'm guilty as charged." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ward smiled. "You admit to compromising your judgment through emotional attachment?" "I admit to discovering that my judgment was already compromised by believing that order matters more than compassion, by thinking that efficiency justifies cruelty, by forgetting that the purpose of power is to serve, not to control." "Philosophical arguments don't negate security threats," Ward interjected smoothly. "Your actions enabled insurgents to escape justice. Your relationship with Samuel Carter demonstrates a fundamental weakness that endangers millions. My relationship with Sam shows that I'm capable of love, of empathy, of seeing people as people, not as problems to be solved or variables to be calculated." Claire's voice rang clear through the chamber. "You want to replace me with a machine because you're afraid of what humanity represents. You're afraid that if people are free to feel, to choose, to love, they might choose something other than your perfect order. Order is all that prevents chaos," Ward said. "And chaos is death." "No." The voice came from the chamber entrance. "Oh, chaos is life." Sam Carter walked in, flanked by Maya and Marcus and a dozen others. Resistance leaders, engineers, teachers, people from the forgotten sectors. They should have been stopped by security, should have been arrested on sight. But the security drone stood motionless, offline. Because Sam had used the codes, but not to destroy the city. "To free himself, security to the council chamber," Ward barked. "Arrest these insurgents." Nothing happened. The drones remained still. Sam approached the center of the chamber, coming to stand beside Claire. She looked at him with eyes full of wonder and terror. "What did you do?" she whispered. "What you taught me," Sam said. "I found the third option." He activated a holographic display from Claire's codes, projecting it for all the council to see. Data streams, financial records, surveillance logs, years of Ward's manipulations laid bare. "Director Ward has been engineering conflicts," Sam announced, "creating insurgencies to justify his enforcement protocols, manipulating council votes through blackmail and bribery. Even tonight's raid on Sector 73, he coded it to launch early, ensuring maximum casualties to force the Queen's hand." The council members leaned forward, reading the evidence. Ward's calm expression finally cracked. "These are fabrications. They're from the city's core system," Sam continued. "Systems only the Queen can access. Systems she gave me access to because she trusts people more than you ever could." He turned to face the council. "Ward didn't call for the Queen's removal because she's compromised. He called for it because she stopped being his puppet. Because she remembered that ruling means protecting all people, not just the ones who fit into your algorithms." "The boy is lying." Ward stood, his composure shattering. "He's a terrorist manipulating data." "Then let the AI verify it," Claire said quietly. "Arya analyzed the evidence. Determine authenticity." A pause. Then Arya's voice filled the chamber. "Evidence verified. Director Ward's activities match the pattern described. Probability of fabrication, 0.03%. Silence crashed over the council like a wave. Chancellor Reeves looked from Ward to Claire to Sam, his ancient face troubled. "This changes everything. It changes nothing." Ward's voice rose for the first time, cracking with barely contained fury. "So I manipulated events. So what? It was for the greater good. Order requires sacrifice. Peace demands control. You want to give them freedom? He gestured wildly at Sam and the resistance. "They'll tear this city apart. They'll destroy everything we've built." "Maybe it needs to be destroyed," Claire said softly. "Maybe what we've built isn't worth saving." She stepped forward, addressing the council directly. "I'm not asking you to remove me. I'm asking you to change, to remember that we govern real people with real lives, real pain, real dreams. To understand that perfection without humanity is just another form of death." She looked at Ward. "You wanted to make me a machine, but I'm done being perfect. I choose to be human. I choose to feel. I choose to love." She took Sam's hand. "And I choose to trust that humanity, messy and irrational and beautiful, is worth more than any algorithm could calculate." The council chamber was silent. Then slowly Chancellor Reeves stood. "Director Ward, you are removed from your position, effective immediately. Guards, escort him to detention." This time the security responded, human guards, not drones, taking Ward by the arms. He struggled, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. "You're making a mistake. Without control, without order, they'll destroy everything. I was trying to save them from themselves." "No," Claire said as Ward was led away. "You were trying to save yourself from having to trust them." Ward's protests faded into the distance. The council members looked at each other, then at Claire, then at the resistance leaders standing in their chamber. "What now?" Chancellor Reeves asked. Claire smiled, real, genuine, imperfect. "Now we do something we should have done years ago. We ask the people what they want." 6 months later, the city had changed. Not overnight. Change never happened overnight, Claire had learned, but slowly, painfully, beautifully. The council had implemented reforms, representatives from every sector, human oversight on AI decisions, resources redirected to the forgotten districts. It wasn't perfect. There were protests, conflicts, arguments that had no easy algorithmic solutions, but it was real. And real was better than perfect. Claire stood in Sector 89, no longer in her royal attire, but in simple clothes, her neural implants dimmed to their lowest setting. She felt more human every day, though the process was harder than she'd imagined. Feeling everything meant feeling pain as well as joy. But Sam was right. The things worth having were the things that could be lost. "You coming?" Sam called from down the street. He was working with a team to install new infrastructure, real repairs, not just temporary fixes. Maya worked beside him, still suspicious of Claire, but slowly, grudgingly accepting her presence. "Coming," Claire said, and meant it. She was coming home, not to the sovereign spire with its glass and isolation, but to the streets, to the people, to the messy, beautiful reality of a life lived without calculations. She'd stepped down as queen 3 months ago. The council had protested, but Claire had been firm. She'd served her purpose, breaking the system enough for something new to grow. Now others could lead, younger voices, diverse perspectives, people who understood that governance was service, not control, she taught now. At a school in Sector 73, taught children about history and choice, and the courage it took to be imperfect. And at night, she went home to a small apartment Sam had helped her find, where they cooked meals that didn't always turn out right and watched the real stars through a window that needed fixing and loved each other with the intensity of people who'd almost lost everything. "Do you ever miss it?" Sam asked one evening as they sat on their rooftop looking up at the city they'd changed together. "The power? The control?" Claire considered the question. "Sometimes, but then I remember what I have instead." "What's that?" "Choice, freedom, you." She leaned against him. "The ability to make mistakes and learn from them. To feel joy without needing data to justify it. To love without needing permission." Sam kissed her forehead. The queen beneath neon skies. Not a queen anymore. Just Claire. Just Claire is enough. Above them, the city pulsed with light and life. Still imperfect, still struggling, but finally beautifully free. Drones flew overhead, but now they were monitored by humans who could say no. Algorithms ran the infrastructure, but humans made the decisions. Control had given way to trust, and trust had given birth to hope. In his detention cell, Ward watched the city change through a narrow window and wondered if he'd been wrong, if control had been the cage and freedom the key. But old algorithms died hard, and he couldn't quite bring himself to believe that chaos could ever be kind. Perhaps that was his tragedy, not that he'd lost, but that he'd never understood what winning really meant. Year 3095, the memorial stood in what was once Sector 73, now renamed Liberty District. A simple stone monument with two figures carved into it, a queen and a rebel, hands joined, looking toward a horizon that promised nothing but possibility. The inscription read, "In the space between order and chaos, perfection and imperfection, control and freedom, there lives humanity." May we never forget the price of choosing to feel. Children played around the monument, their laughter echoing through streets that had once known only silence and fear. Above them, the neon sky painted itself in colors both programmed and random, a collaboration between machine and human, order and creativity. Claire and Sam stood at the edge of the square, older now, lines of life etched into their faces. They'd built something together, not a perfect world, but a real one, a world where mistakes were possible, and therefore meaning was possible. A world where love mattered because loss was real. "Do you think they'll remember," Claire asked, gesturing at the children, "what it cost to get here?" "They'll forget," Sam said honestly. "Then they'll remember. Then they'll forget again. That's what humans do. But as long as someone keeps telling the story, as long as someone keeps choosing love over perfection, they'll be okay." Claire smiled, and in that smile was everything she had learned, that joy could coexist with sorrow, that strength could be soft, that power was meaningless without compassion. She'd been a queen beneath neon skies. Now she was just a woman beneath real stars. And that, she had discovered, was the greatest throne of all. Hand in hand, they walked into the city they'd freed, into the future they'd chosen, into the beautiful, imperfect chaos of being human. Behind them, the monument stood silent and still, a reminder that once upon a time, a queen learned to feel and a rebel learned to hope. And together they proved that love was the most powerful algorithm of all.